As I look to the horizon, not a cloud, but then storming weather's go too cold. Seems like it crept up out of nowhere, all around you is not what you foretold. You never see it coming. You see that my mind is the best for eyes. You're done, but the time is hit you, you're not surprised.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to embrace and embark on a journey that'll twist the very fabric of logic and sanity. As you all know, DSP has just come off of his birthday week. A whole week that was dedicated to the begging and pleading for money for his taxes. Within that, the week, but as you guys know, the couple weeks prior to that, he was coming off of a suspension, an indefinite suspension. We've already covered that here. Almighty Tevin actually went into a lot better detail, as I said he would, and really breaks down that situation. I'll put a link to his video in my description, also to somebody else. His name is, I think it's Gundam. I think that's the name of his channel. He also went over a video talking about Twitch that I think all of you need to hear. Let me kind of get into the situation. Almighty Tevin's video basically touched on the problems that he saw with Phil's suspension and being able to come back so soon. Gundam built off that and further elaborated that people who are partnered are given special privileges. Now, Almighty Tevin had said that also. He had alluded to that. And he had even said that that whole elevation or escalation system as it pertains to penalties, Almighty Tevin had said, praise be Almighty, had said that right there was probably something he wasn't supposed to say. That's probably the guidelines if you are a partner on Twitch. And Gundam builds off that and continues to build up on the knowledge on this is the type of treatment that people who are partnered get. This is what they can do compared to everybody else. So if you're not partnered, you're not protected. And that right there alludes a lot, in some ways, to why DSP is able to get away what he gets away with. But see, now I have a problem with that. Not that I didn't already have a problem with him coming off suspension. I thought that was already bullshit. But now I do have a problem with the fact that someone like DSP, DarkSydePhil, has a managed partnership, and yet he doesn't produce. The man can barely hold on to 400 or 500 people on a stream. I mean, if it wasn't for, was it Cryek on his birthday, he wouldn't have even gotten that large influx at the end. But then again, that was at the end. So yeah, you could say that he had, what? I think I heard a couple of guys on Twitter saying that he may have had like 2,000 views on his birthday. But it's his birthday. We want to see him do something stupid. Which we did. We saw quite a bit, actually. We'll talk about that in a completely separate video. Especially that cake. Bless you, Cat, that you tried. It's just... I'm sorry, Cat. That cake did not look moist. It looked dry. It looked dry. And then seeing Phil literally eat his way to diabetes was... I thought it'd be funny. I haven't seen Snorpernell's video on that yet. But I thought it would be funny, but it wasn't. It was just kind of sad, to be honest with you. Anyway, so there's that. So the concept that Phil, yet again, is somehow getting special treatment, kind of like what he was getting when he was with Machinima, so continues to kind of move along. I was actually talking to somebody on Twitter who said it seems like this guy Phil has like 9 lives. he seems to always have like this kind of like the devil's luck in a lot of ways. That's not the words he used, but he did say this guy was incredibly lucky. I'm gonna call it the devil's luck, where he always seems to be able to bounce back from a situation. It's actually kind of impressive, but I mean, take that for what you will. So Phil comes off of that suspension, goes into a full week of begging and pleading. It's my birthday, guys. You gotta give me money. I'm doing it. You gotta give me this money, guys, because it's gonna go. It's gonna go straight to my taxes. Well, hey, DSP sucks. D. Thank you for the $10 tip. That money's gonna go straight to my taxes. You guys have all heard that. It was what he used to say when he was streaming early on, and he was like, hey, before Twitch really started to blow up for him, and he was like, well, hey, thanks guys, thanks for that money, Billy Bob, thanks for the $20 tip, that's gonna go straight to my bills. All he did was change the script slightly, which is what DSP does. So, with that being said, full-blown week of begging. I don't think he really made too much. We'll have to wait till Eddie B4 comes out with his reports, and we'll actually see what that kind of, implements. It should be good, actually. It should be good, to be honest with you. But we'll have to wait and see how that works out. Let's move on to the next part. So, full-blown week of begging leading up to his birthday. A lot of Street Fighter, Salt. You can go to Volt Boy. You can go to, I think David Davison did a compilation. I think S. Julius Cruz did one. There's, I think maybe even Memology 101 did one. There's a bunch of people you can go to watch his kind of Street Fighter compilation of Salt. Absolutely entertaining. But then we get to the actual birthday itself. And it was actually kind of sad. Yeah, he streamed twice. Yeah, he was talking about this whole interaction and whatnot. There's a like a 40-minute video out there. I think Mr. Stuffs did it, where he has PUBG and he's just kind of speaking his mind. We might go over that video, we might not. We're gonna go over it. You know I will. It'll just be late. His birthday was a disaster, to be perfectly honest with you. He didn't make nearly the amount of money that he wanted, which is what we'll go into next. $2,000, ladies and gentlemen. 2 racks, 2 stacks. What does that mean to any of us? 2 racks are 2 racks. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a good position, put 1,500 of that away and take 500 and keep it in your pocket, just in case it's something you might want. After all your bills and everything else is taken care of course. But for Phil, that 2,000 goal has been up there for quite a while. It's been there, to be honest with you, as far as I remember, back to December with the whole Christmas begging situation. Now, people had been speculating for a while on why he focused on the $2,000 mark. What was it about $2,000 that was so important? People in his own fan base even asked. And he said, oh, it was just a random number I threw up there. It doesn't have any meaning. As you guys know, it's Phil, so that's a lie. This is where things get interesting. So, property tax. This is what all this was about, ladies and gentlemen. Property tax. The money that is owed on the property that you own. And as you know, and someone had pointed this out to me and whatnot, so, I gotta remember, I have to make sure moving forward for what little time that I have left, that I keep emphasizing that Phil owns 2 pieces of property. One in Seattle, one in Connecticut. For all of you who have been here before or just dabble in Phil, you know that. For everybody who's new, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay for as long as it is. But he has 2 pieces of property. Actually, in truth, let me go further and say that he has 3. Because he has his property in Seattle that he wants to keep. He has the condo in Connecticut. And then he has his parents' place. So Phil can never say that he's going to be homeless. He's never going to say that, or can say, that he has nowhere to go. He has plenty of places to go. He just has to go. Now, with that being said, $2,000. What is the significance of this $2,000? Why is it that Phil always was focusing on that $2,000? Because Phil owes $2,000 twice a year in property tax. That's why he had it up there. That's what he was shooting for. All of this money, all of this tax situation, all of this nonsense was over property tax. There was no IRS. There was no state business tax that he owed money on, at least that we know of. This was all over property tax. That whole tax attorney in Connecticut that screwed me over and it's because of him I'm in this situation. Shut the hell up. It appears that all of that was a lie. It wasn't true. All of this was over property tax. That's why he was so sick. That's why he was so disgusted. Now, most of you are like, well, okay, GTG, well, tell me a little bit about property tax. I will, slightly. Actually, I'd like you to go to a friend of mine. His name is James the Lesser Express Lane. You'll see him in my comment section every once in a while. You'll see, I follow him on Twitter and whatnot. He's a real cool guy and whatnot. Got a nice beard, by the way, epic beard. He actually did a video going over this. I'll link that in my description. Please go and see it. He essentially breaks it down. I'm going to give you just a small bit of it, but I want you to go over there. I want you to watch his video. I want you to see what he has to say about it. Basically, your property tax is wrapped up into your mortgage. Now, he had already done his verification on this, meaning he did his research. So I did my research also. And so what happens coincides with it. The thing that I didn't necessarily understand that kind of took me back a little bit is that Phil, for whatever reason, in his mortgage, it's not his property tax isn't tied into that. Basically, when you pay your mortgage each month, your property tax is in there, inside of it, inside of each mortgage payment, so you don't get screwed over. Like I said, James the Lesser will go over that in much more detail. The link will be in my description. Here's the thing that him and I both agree on that seems kind of strange. Why didn't Phil have that done in his deal? Like in his mortgage payment, you know what I'm saying, arrangement. Why are you paying it separately? Now, I got to talk to a few of the guys here in the office, and the general idea that we have is he wanted to try to keep his mortgage payments low, and he was okay with paying his property tax throughout the year, just like he has to pay his federal. We think that's what the case is. I don't know for sure. Honestly, I think doing it his way is actually it's problematic in the long term because it's something that can easily be messed up if given enough time. And it's Phil. He's not exactly the smartest knife or sharpest knife in the drawer. Certainly not the smartest mind on Twitter or Twitch or YouTube for that matter. So we think that's what's ended up kind of screwing him over. I think what happened is he didn't want to shell the extra money out. He was probably trying to figure out a way to squirm himself out of the property tax in some way. Maybe he legitimately forgot. Who could say? But that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's where that's what he needs the 2,000 for. Which leads into the next thing. Phil wants $4,000. Now, at the time that I was told this, he had 9 days to come up with that bread. Which means that he needs to have that by the 17th, which is basically tax day, April 17th. Okay? I am currently recording this on the Sunday the 8th. You won't see this till Monday. 9 days for not even the pig roach cult or none of that. For Phil's followers, for Phil's fans to come up with $4,000. They have 9 days to come up with that money. 9 days. I want you to think about that for just a second. I am DSP right now. Let's say I'm DSP. You guys love my content. You guys love my streams. Some of you are actually rather loyal to me. I need you guys to leverage whatever it is that you have until it comes up to $4,000 so you guys can help me pay my property tax on one of my properties, if not both. Because you got to think, he's still paying property tax on the place in Connecticut too. This is what it's come down to, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go back over that. The 3 L's. Love, loyalty, and leverage. Twitch loves his streams. His fan base is loyal to him. And now, they're going to have to leverage whatever they have, whatever they own, to come up with this bread. To come up with this 4 racks. Ladies and gentlemen, in the time that I've done these videos, whatever you think of them, he's done a lot of silly shit in the time that I've been doing videos. He's done some absolutely egregious stuff beforehand, but he's done a lot of crazy, silly stuff while I've been kind of reporting on it. This right here is getting on the brink of madness in a lot of ways. There is no way that one man can be this greedy. Now, Almighty Tevin had already pointed out that it seems apparent that Phil just wants these guys to pay his taxes for him. I went further and said that what Phil's trying to do is set up the plot to have them pay his bills month after month after month, and whatever he makes off YouTube and Twitch goes straight to him. Meaning what he makes off ads and stuff is what I mean, and whatnot, for both platforms respectfully. And then he was going to use all of his tips and donations and all that in the hopes that that would pay off all of his bills month after month after month. His taxes, his mortgages, everything. Now, the number 10,000 to 12,000 keeps coming up quite a bit. I've said it quite a bit myself, as well as Dragon Killer on Twitter had brought that up. This is the amount that we believe he made in December off Twitch, off that epic and rather amazing display of shameless begging and laziness on his part, and yet a rather interesting and an impressive rallying of support on his fan base's part. And Phil, off the strength of that, off the muscle, thought that, you know what? I've already bled them. It's time to cut them down to the white meat. And I'm going to have them do this every month from now on. Somewhere down the line, or somewhere in his head, he thought that I'm going to pull somewhere between $7,000 to $10,000 a month off these guys, off these kids, off these suckers. They're going to pay me because I'm going to lay down the scenario on how much trouble I'm in. And they're going to pay me this much money month after month after month, and they'll do it forever. As in truth, as long as Phil can squeeze, I would say even 5,000 out of them, he's still winning. But there's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big problem. One of the major problems is he's cut a little too deep. The gash, the wound, the gash is way too deep. Cut all the way down to it's not even down to the white meat, it's down to the bone. We're in the bone. We're sitting there. You can see some of the marrow starting to come out. He's cut too deep in December. He played his cards too heavy. He doesn't know how to, I don't think he knows how to play chess, so I don't want to bring out any chess references. But he thought that he had a strong hand, and he didn't. So now, everything that he got in December, what little bit of generosity that he was able to drum up in January, February, March, and now getting into, the first week or so in April, it's gone. Phil has literally bled his fan base dry. Just about. Now they're to the point where they're just trying to scrounge what little money they have together to give to him. All that big money's gone, Phil. Who knows what had to be given up to give Phil all that money? Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about his fan base, and not even in a disrespectful manner. So for any of you who are in the audience who are listening to this, I want you to really think about this as I go over this. And if you'd like, I'd like to see your comments in the comment section. What did you have to give up to give Phil all that money in December and January? I really want to know. I'm absolutely curious. What is it that you have to sacrifice? I understand it's the holiday season. The holiday season, generosity is just in the air. The concept and the thought process and the belief of helping your fellow man in any way you see fit, in any way that you can, to express joy, happiness, and just an appreciation for the people around you. I respect you guys doing that. Now I want to know is how much did you have to bleed to do that? What did you have to give up? Was there a particular gift that you wanted that you had to put to the side? Did you have to leverage something that you may have gone to a family member of yours that, you downgraded the gift to something else? Did you pull from some money that you had in a rainy day type situation and give it to him? How is it that you guys were able to drum up this amount of money in such a short amount of time. So much so, in fact, that now Phil has the nerve to say that in 9 days, if he doesn't have this $4,000, he's going to be screwed. And in truth, your property tax will really mess you up. Like, don't be wrong, if you don't pay the IRS or you don't pay the state, they money, it can definitely put you in some problems. But property tax will really screw you. Look it up. But what was it that you guys had to give up to put Phil in a more comfortable situation? You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that he has 3 pieces of property. As I said, he has Connecticut. He has 2 pieces in Connecticut because he has his condo, plus he has his parents' house. He's the only child, so it's assumed when their time comes up, he would inherit. And then he has Seattle. He doesn't need that big-ass house in Seattle. It's going to slowly but surely drive him and Kat crazy. It's just too much for 2 people. He lives in a home. He lives in a house that's probably built for like 5 or 6 people. Or 4 or 5. And there's 2 of them in there. I want you to think about that. There's 2 of them in there. There are rooms in there that might not even, neither one of them will walk into for days at a time. So what are we doing here? So when you think you guys are saving him, when you guys think that you're helping Phil out, you're not. You're enabling him to live a particular lifestyle that he can't sustain. Or maybe he can sustain it. And maybe he just wants you guys to pay for it. For his 10-year legacy. Which is something that he's been pushing all year. And then he used this situation, then he used his birthday as leverage to try to get more money out of you. And then he also went down to what I felt was a really sad point, using his aunt's death recently to drum up a little bit of support too. Someone thought I was actually making fun of that situation. I wasn't. I was presenting the situation as it was, though. So I apologize if it came off in poor taste. So, yet again, this is what our situation is. So let's go ahead and recap, because Theo had a really great tweet on Twitter. I'm not sure if I have it. If I can, I'll find it. But so the business magazines. Oh, these guys, the detractors signed me up for all these big business magazines, and that's how they found me. That sounds like that apparently would have been bullshit. The tax attorney in Connecticut. Oh, the tax attorney in Connecticut. He's been doing my taxes for years. I paid him all this money. I was paying him like $1,500 a year to do my taxes or whatever. He screwed me over. That was a lie. So what's the truth? What's real now? What have we really come to? What do we really make out of something like this? How do you separate what's the fake, or what's the real and what's the gout? I'm just saying. And as Dragon Killer had pointed out, wouldn't it have been just easier just to say, hey guys, I need some help with my property tax? Wouldn't that have worked out a little bit better if he had asked for that? It's egregious, to ask any person to help you with your tax money that isn't like a family member or a friend, at least a family member. But if he had at least said that, wouldn't that have been okay? No, it wouldn't have. Why? Because people would have figured out how much he owed. And he didn't want that. He wanted to be in a position where I'm in trouble, please help me, give me as much as you have. Not give me this amount to help me pay this property tax off. If he had done that, he would have been okay. He would have been transparent. He could have been honest. People would have probably even supported him in the long run if he had told the truth. But he didn't do that. So now we get into the next problem. And everybody's been talking about this, so I'm not the first. How much did it cost to get Kat over there? How much did it cost to move her, to fly her back and forth the 2 or 3 times that they saw each other, then to fly her over and to move her stuff in, then to go ahead and get her brand new clothes, to get her brand new work clothes, to get her cell phones and get her everything, all the things that he wanted for her to have to be comfortable. How much did all that cost? How much of his fan base's money went to these things? I'm not saying to put any heat on Kat. Don't. I'm telling you this as a dog in a rather sharp suit. Do not put any pressure on her for this. This is Phil's fault. But how much did it cost to get her there? Not only that, but after the birthday bash that he had on stream Friday, they decided to go out Saturday. They went out to eat. I don't know if they went to a hotel or anything. I had heard talks about that. I couldn't really find it. But they obviously went out. They had a good time Saturday. They spent a little bit of money. Who flipped the bill for that? On top of that, let's talk about Saturday yet again. He found out that his taxes were ready earlier in the week. Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, something like that. And instead of getting off of his ass and paying his taxes, I think it might have been Wednesday. I could be wrong. I apologize. But I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday is when he said that his tax attorney had reached out to him and said that his taxes were finally ready. Which is ironic because he was already taking heat from the previous weekend about this whole money situation, where people were starting to really put the pressure on him on why wasn't he being transparent about what he owes. And he's only telling his fan base what they needed to know. It's funny how that was the situation the weekend before, and then the next week, oh, my taxes are finally ready. All I gotta do is pick them up. It's amazing, isn't it? It's riveting. Absolutely riveting. With that being said, so he finds out that his taxes are ready, either in the beginning or the middle of this week, and he doesn't go and pick them up. Oh, I would, but you know, Kat's gonna have the car, and by the time I get out there, I won't be able to go and get it. Okay, you said Kat streams from Monday through Thursday, or sorry, she streamed Monday through Thursday. I'm sorry, she works Monday through Thursday. Fair enough. Why couldn't you pick up your taxes Friday morning before you started streaming? Why couldn't you have gotten up early and done that? Kat's supposed to be off. Now, I would have said, oh, why didn't you have Kat pick them up? They're not married. So, they're not married. So she wouldn't be able to. I understand that. I'm glad I caught myself before I said that. So, because I know I would have seen that in the comment section. So why didn't you wake up early Friday, Phil, to go and get those taxes? You could have. I'll tell you why. The reason why is because all week, things weren't panning out. He wasn't getting the money that he thought he was going to get. He wasn't getting the support. And he needed that extra day. He needed Friday. Friday was his birthday. His birthday. And he needed that day. He needed that day to drum up as much money as possible. That's why he let his taxes sit until Saturday. Because he needed as much money as he could get his hands on Friday. That's why. But it gets worse. So he tells people on his stream what his plans are for Saturday. I'm going to pick up my taxes. Kat wants to take me out, buy me some new clothes. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go out and eat at a couple of different places, so on and so forth. Apparently, Phil doesn't know what ethnic food is. He doesn't understand what that is. He understands it now, but whatever. We'll get to that video whenever we get to that video. But he's talking about all the money that's going to be spent. He's talking about all the things they're going to do. And don't be wrong, it's his birthday. He's his own man. He can do what he wants. But you delayed your taxes for a day so you could get as much money as you could get on Friday. You're telling the people on Friday all the things you're going to buy and everything that you guys want to do on Saturday. Then you have the nerve to put out a twit longer talking about the situation about how much money you need how much money you need them to give you to help save your butterball ass yet again. Huh? What? Okay, so Phil, do you not think about what you're doing before you do it? Like, first off, if you've been pushing this whole tax narrative for like 5 months. Like 4 or 5 months you've been pushing this narrative. So you don't want to go and get your taxes right away so you can find out exactly what you owe. I've already explained why. That's fine. Whatever. It's not fine, but it is what it is. What's done is done now. But then you have the nerve to say that you're going to go out and spend all this money and do this, that, and the third. And then you're going to make a twit longer telling these people to give you more money. And they only have 9 days to come up with it. I say this because someone said something interesting in my comment section. as it pertains to me going at Phil. And why do I feel the need to do it? These are some of the reasons why. If Phil, I definitely don't want to use him as an analogy with anybody who's more powerful than him. Nobody should do this. No matter what your position is, none of that. Whether you're fucking PewDiePie or you're my cringy fucking ass, you shouldn't be doing these type of things. It's just not right. This shouldn't have to be explained. This shouldn't have to be justified. People should see what Phil does and say, this is wrong. Now, if you choose to be a fan of Phil, if you choose to support him, then that's on you. I can't do anything about that, nor will I. All I'm doing is presenting you the facts. You do what you want with it. If you want to take that and then continue to go back to Phil, then go ahead. That's your free right. It's a free country, at least for now. So go ahead and take advantage of it while you have it. At the same time, though, there are people that are going to call you out. It's not just me. There's a bunch of other people who feel this way. There's a bunch of other people who look at this as it being wrong. Funny enough, some of Phil's peers believe this is wrong. And guess what? They're doing it themselves. We'll call them out later. Anyway, as the video goes on, you'll get to see some of what I've been saying. Make your own judgments. Come up to your own conclusions. But I gotta tell you, I would have never thought about property tax and whatnot, so I don't have all the foresight, but I did call. I'm at least kind of reassured in the fact that he was using his fan base to pay his bills moving forward, because this was going to be a long-term thing. It still will, because Phil's fan base, for the most part, are still drinking the punch. They're still drinking the Kool-Aid, even though they're going to be broke at the end of it. And guess what Phil does to people who are no longer useful to him? He discards them. He gets rid of them. It's what he does. If Twitch didn't cut him that slack, and he did actually get hit with that ban, that indefinite suspension, he'd have been shitting on Twitch the next day. He already did a little bit in that first stream before he ended up talking to them. This is what this man does. And I've said this. Every person he comes in contact with are merely there to be used. He's not there to establish a relationship with people. He is not there to appreciate what people do for him, and vice versa. Everybody around me is meant to be used for my own means, for however I see fit. And the moment you are not useful, you're gone. Any person who's a long-time Phil, even as a long-time Phil supporter, you have to know this. And then you still get into the situation with that toxic chat. He was defending them not too long ago. Now all of a sudden he's getting rid of mods. Well, he got rid of one mod allegedly because he was unbanning supposed detractors or whatever the case may be. I don't know. You never really can believe what Phil says. Right now, Phil is at his most vulnerable. If any time in Phil's life that he was vulnerable, or at his lowest point, it's now. I think. Well, yeah, I say it's right now. I think it's right now. Because, let's be honest, he has the money to pay these bills. He's made quite a bit. Okay? Eddie B had already laid out what he made last month. He's made plenty. He has more than enough to cover these bills. But yet again, he doesn't want to have to pay those bills. He wants his fan base to do it. And the longer that happens, the longer he'll continue using you guys. All right, let's get into the closing, because this kind of went on a little longer than I wanted to. A bit of a rant there. Let's go ahead. As you guys know, I like playing cards. So let's go ahead and raise the stakes a little bit, Phil. Your fan base has 9 days to come up with this money. $4,000. They got 9 days to do it. 9 days. So guess what, Phil? I want to play a game. The game's simple. Your fan base needs to come up with this bread. All $4,000 in 9 days. If they come up with the 4,000, if I don't want to put pressure on Eddie because I don't know Eddie personally, but I would assume if they came up with the money, Eddie would verify it anyway. They come up with the $4,000 on the 17th, or maybe the 18th, one of the two. He would have to have the money by then. If in some way they came up with the money, all $4,000, Phil, Eddie B verifies it, Dragon Killer verifies it, goes ahead and verifies it, and then posts it up on Twitter. And then there's a couple of people that I know who would end up contacting me. If in some way, shape, or form that happens, Phil, that yet again, your fan base comes up with the 4,000, and then the 3 groups that I just named come through with the verification to prove that this really happened and that it's legit, and that there is no funny business on your end where you're throwing money in to try to make it look like more people contributed than really happened. I'm just saying that, Phil, because I know you've done that. I'll delete my channel. I'll delete my channel. Now keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, for Phil, this is no big incentive. This doesn't really mean anything to really anybody. It shouldn't, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I want to see if his fan base comes through for him. I want to see if they love him as much as they say that they do. Do they love his content? I want to test the boundaries of their loyalty. And I want to see what they're willing to give up. I'm willing to give up my channel. I will delete the channel within 48 hours of it being confirmed that Phil gets his money. All $4,000. Within 48 hours of that being confirmed, from the time that he gets all of it to those 3 groups confirming it, because the 3rd group will reach out to me and whatnot, in 48 hours, this channel's gone. So now, Phil, we're all in. I want to see, now really this is really just a game between me and your fan base, but I want to see exactly how much these people give a damn about you, and how much are they really willing to give up for you. They gave up plenty for you in December. Now we're in April. I want to see what they're going to do now. That's it. There's no grandiose speech. There's no sympathy or anything drawn out. That's what the plan is. So, Phil, game on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG network and production. I appreciate all of your time. And, yeah. I guess I'll see you next time I see you.